practice is the way forward. I think we have to be able to be present for our lives in any moment, and we have to be able to practice those skills, those those ideas, those things which we often see in others. We look at others and say, oh, that person seems calm. Oh, that person is very reflective. We say it as a in a judgment, in a judging way, so that we want to aspire to someone else's ideals. And I invite you to look at what your ideals are. What are the things you look for in others? And that is a real good sign to understand what it is that you are missing, even if it is something. So, looking at how you enjoy other people's company is one way to understand what you want. So, in our practices, we discuss a lot of topics around personal development, self development, and how we can essentially help manage our own change, our own journey. And change is inevitable, but suffering is not. Pain is inevitable, suffering is not. Happiness is inevitable, suffering is not. And through practice, we can change. We can change our relationship with a lot of things, including relationship with people, relationship with our own self, relationship with ideas, relationships with institutions, relationship with the world, and the relationship with everything outside of you is what we practice, is what we try to emulate in these live sessions, in these discussions, is to find ways that can help you be fully present for anyone and anything that happens to you. And that's the plan, that's the idea of our daily practice live sessions. These daily practice sessions are a way in which we explore ourselves further and help grow the things which we need to grow, take the things which we don't need out, and also create a support community where one supports another, another supports another, and we help each other in our own paths. So that is the idea of daily practice, an idea of mindfulness. So I invite you to think about what mindfulness means to you and what it is not. We have heard about this ever since we started started working on ourselves. We've heard about mindfulness, we've practiced it a million times. So I want to just go back to your first definition of what mindfulness was. And the funny thing is, this is one of the things which actually didn't change that much. The meaning of mindfulness since its inception, long time ago. Many thought leaders, many spiritual enlightened beings have talked about this many years ago, and it has still been part of our culture, ourselves. So what is the mindfulness definition you have been carrying What is the meaning of mindfulness? What does it, why is it important? Why do you think why do you think mindfulness is so special? Or another question, why do you think it's not that special? And either way, I invite you to think about what mindfulness means to you, and I will explain the things which has it has helped me in my journey. So this today's discussion or talk is around how mindfulness can help you in not just daily life, but in actually shifting your perspective of life. So it has many definitions. Its research is well established, and it has many ways in which it has been projected onto us. There are many new articles, many new ways. Mindfulness for beginners, advanced meditation practitioners, there's mindfulness for everyday life, there's mindfulness for sport, mindfulness for anxiety, mindfulness for depression, mindfulness for this, that, and the other. And in a way, it is useful 100%. But how far does it go? What does it mean? What does it mean to be mindful? And for me, the definition which I went with when I heard it for the first time and it resonated immediately is the intent to pay attention, or the intention to pay attention. It resonated immediately. And for me, that is the first step into mindfulness. What is mindfulness? The intention to pay attention. And over time, I agreed with that definition. That is the kind of definition it is. It is like the intention to pay attention to what it is that you are present with right now. But over time, it morphed into something else, as in I was paying attention to the things which were not helping me. So I was still paying attention. The intention was there to be attentive to the things which I was doing. But it was like I was bringing my attention to something which didn't serve me. And this happens in all walks of life. It could be in relationship, it could be in addiction, it could be in things which we have no control over. We bring our attention. So the idea, yes, intention to bring attention kind of morphed for me into being attentive to everything, and then hence not being attentive to anything. So over time, this is an interesting arc of practicing mindfulness for about 8 years. It is an interesting arc that we face, and we probably should acknowledge more, is you don't have to be mindful all the time. And I will say that again. You do not have to be mindful all the time. Firstly, it's not really possible, but even if you try to, it takes energy to bring awareness to every single thing, every moment of every day. I know we say it, we practice it, we talk about it, we say, okay, let's bring presence, try to be present for the entire day. But it's not really practical, and then I don't think anybody can do it. Having said that, there are people who are genuinely more attentive than others, and through practice. So it's not just that they are like that. Through practice, you genuinely become more attentive than people who are not practicing mindfulness. So that's a plus sign. That's something we have to encourage. So practice does make progress. practice does make increase the chances of us being helpful for others and helpful for ourselves. But the point about don't have to be mindful all the time is the fact that we will be caught up in a lot of things which we really do not need to give our attention to. And that comes down to what is important for us. So the definition started to morph a little bit. So intention to pay attention became intention to pay attention to the things that are important for me. Now the question becomes, what is important for you? And does it have to be static, or does it have to be dynamic, or can it change? 100%. We can change our what is important for us pretty much on a day-to-day basis. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend that. But I think what is important to us is something which we decide. And often we look externally to get validation from someone else to say, oh, I hope this is important. It's important for me. I just want to get confirmation from someone else. Then it is really important. And that actually does not fit into the narrative of change and how we can grow. So what is important to you is what is important to you. The most important thing is that the most important thing is the most important thing. And so the definition of mindfulness changed for me. Changed slightly in the sense that I was starting to pay attention to the things which were important to me at that time, which was things like changing habits. There are no bad habits. There are habits which you have formed, which are probably not serving you anymore. They're not bad. There are habits which are destructive, yes, but that doesn't mean you're a bad person or something is bad. There are habits that can help you, that can derail you in your journey, or any other metaphors that come to mind. But the habits in general are a good one. What is important to you, and you cultivate that habit. So yeah, I was paying attention to what habits I was involved in, and there's so many habits, substances, addictions, relationships, all of that were really interesting for me to navigate through. So the definition started to change from intention to pay attention to intention to pay attention to the important things. And the important things were changing my behaviors, habits, which were not helping me. And what does not helping me mean? It means that the things I was doing was not aligned or were not helping me to get to a place where I was happy. And not happy in the sense of euphoria or like happy, general sense of wellness. The things I was doing was not making me feel alive. It was actually things I was doing were not helping me there. So that's what it was. So it changed slowly. The definition changed. From there, the definition changed even more. What is mindfulness? So I invite you to again take pause. Just notice what it means to be mindful and what it is that you are doing. What it is that you are doing in terms of mindfulness. And how does it affect you? How does it affect anyone else? So that's the kind of reflective exercise we are doing. So it's a listening exercise. You can take whatever you want and leave the rest, or If this is not even helpful, that's okay too. Life gives you things which are not helpful. I invite you to practice with that. Or you may be wondering what the purpose of this is. The purpose of this reflective chat is sometimes we get caught up in the things which we are doing and forget what we came here for. And I am as guilty as that one. I sometimes come here to do some things, or like maybe bring a new idea or something which is really profound and transformational, an affirmation practice and a grounding exercise that helps us be more calm and manage stress and all the wonderful stuff, all the wonderful things. And then I realized, why am I here? And I realized it was because the definition of mindfulness. And I thought that is a good place to just go back, because we keep talking about going back, coming back. In mindfulness practices we do. So why don't we do it with the stuff we talk about? Why don't we do it in our daily practice? Just go back to the basics, go back to the definition. So, mindfulness, intention to pay attention to the most important thing that you want to work with. And that was going fine until the thing I was working with started to give me trouble. As in, I was trying to stop certain habits and it was not working. Or it was not working to what I expected. I expected I will be meditating and being mindful, and then suddenly overnight everything stops and I change into an enlightened being overnight. That was not happening. I was still angry, I was still frustrated, I was still really an angry person, but a mindfully angry person. So the person who's really aware of their own anger, which is actually really frustrating, and also they're also trying to be this new version of themselves, and then they're trying to change, they're trying to do stuff, and it's not changing anything. It's just really making them more and more upset. Although having said that, during that phase, yes, mindfulness genuinely, in an 8-week practice, I could see a sensible shift in my thought process, in the way in which I was being present. But it also increased the things that come to my awareness, which have a potential to start some sort of narrative which was not helpful. So that also happens. So you will get, when you become more aware of things, you will be aware of all the wonderful things and all the things which were holding you back also. So yeah, we have to be prepared for that. I wasn't prepared for that. I wasn't prepared for the stuff which was coming up, for stuff which I have probably, quote unquote, bottled it up. The things which I never mentioned to my family, things about bullying and like the early childhood development, which never talked about, started to surface. Not in a way that it was really, it was really, truly colorful. Not in a way it was difficult for me to go back to those. It was not in the sense that, oh, this is bringing so many things, I can't be with it. It is more about, it just showed a version of myself without going through all of that. And I was not ready for that person. So I didn't know me without having gone through all the experiences I've had. So, as you can say, making peace with yourself is the idea. That's the idea. That's the general idea. How to get there is what we are discussing, what we are going through. So, intention to pay attention to the most important thing. And then when things don't go well, what do you do? So, you started off on this journey. You wanted to be less stressed, less angry, less frustrated. You want to have more joy. You want to be equanimous. You want to be compassionate to others and self. You want to practice loving kindness. You want to be grateful for everything, thankful for universe, manifest the things that you want. But what if none of those things are actually going to your plan? What happens? What happens when mindfulness doesn't work for you? And that is where I learned another definition or another addition to this overall narrative of how mindfulness changed my life or mindfulness changes our lives is we start off with the idea of intention, to pay attention. Then we understand that intention, pay attention to the most important thing. And then the most important thing becomes our own mind. So we change the idea of the most important thing as something external into the most important thing is to pay attention to the mind. And that subtle change became profound for me. And from there, then I started to notice the mind. Any moment I was feeling difficult with this, I was just noticing the mind, what it comes up with, what the thoughts are, what the narratives are, what it comes up, what it cooks up is fascinating. The things it says. And the next stage in developing mindfulness for me, or this ongoing process of what mindfulness means for me, is to what attitude are you bringing to it? Is it the attitude of this is not working, I will push myself through, I will keep doing, I'll keep turning up, I'll berate myself, I will make sure that I get treated badly? And the attitude, I think a lot of you can already guess, started off with gratitude. Gratitude is the attitude. Then acceptance became part of the attitude. Then compassion started to come into that attitude. Then loving kindness started to come into that attitude. When you practice all these things, suddenly the relationships between your things which you want to change, and suddenly the things between the narratives again of your life start to change, start to become more real, and suddenly you become your best friend. Now, this is a difficult say statement. Like I can say it like, oh, I am my true best friend. Not all the time, but most of the time. Especially when things go difficult. Now I am able to, through practice and through just following this simple definition, arriving to this moment with kindness, acceptance, compassion, gratitude is transformational. So yeah, so that is the definition how mindfulness evolved for me. It'll keep evolving. New things will come in, different ways in which I interpret. The more I practice, the more aware I am becoming, and that means more awareness. There are so many things we can learn about ourselves. So I hope in this real unfiltered, unscripted talk about mindfulness and what it means and what the definition is helps you in some way to bring presence, to bring truth for yourself in your journey, in the way in which you are. And yeah, I hope it helps. So, this has been a general chat about mindfulness and hope it helps. So, until next time, in the daily practice, take it easy and leave a comment about what mindfulness means to you. And I see you again in the next one.